It's time for Northwestern Outdoors Radio, the award-winning show that covers fishing, hunting, and all sorts of outdoor recreation here in the Great Northwest. Northwestern Outdoors is brought to you every week by Mack's Lure Company, a legacy of innovation since 1969, by Loophole Optics, America's optical authority, by Camp Chef, the way to cook outdoors,
by Wallowa County.
Nature is on display in Northeast Oregon, and by The Real News, your fishing resource. Also by Shiloh Inns and Suites, providing you with affordable excellence. And by Mardon Resort, the place for fishing, hunting, and more in Eastern Washington. And now, it's time to head outside with your host, John Cruz.
We are at the Bighorn Outdoor Adventure Show this weekend, and it has been a ton of fun. Not only do I love talking to folks who drop by our booth, but I also really like chatting with the other exhibitors, and there are a lot of them to talk to here. A couple of seminars have drawn my interest in hopes of making me a better fisherman, and the kids visiting this show are having a ball, catching trout out of a pond here, watching the reptile man and his friends, and shooting arrows at the archery range. The show continues through Sunday afternoon, so if you are anywhere in Eastern Washington or Northern Idaho, make it a point to attend the Bighorn Outdoor Adventure Show at the Interstate Fairgrounds in Spokane. Since we are at a Sportsman show in Spokane this weekend, we thought it would be a good time to bring you audio we recorded at the Central Washington Sportsman show in Yakima last month. We'll start off by talking to Reed Mykel with Grumpy's, the great sporting goods and Army surplus store you'll find on First Street in Yakima. Reed is in charge of the fishing department and has a wealth of information on where to go fishing in the Yakima Valley, whether you're after trout or bass. Speaking of fishing, we caught up to Lance Merz with Mack's Lure Company at the Yakima show, who is going to give you some tips on catching more spring Chinook on the lower Columbia in the weeks ahead during an extended Mack's Minute. And then we'll tell you about an incredible and affordable guided fishing adventure waiting for you this summer on the northern tip of Vancouver Island. Chad Calder, owner of Chad's Coastwide Sports Fishing, is going to tell you all about it. We've got fishing reports from Idaho and Washington and outdoor news from Montana and Oregon, along with an analysis about a failed attempt by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms to ban a popular rifle cartridge that would essentially render those AR-15s many of us own useless. We're not just covering fishing on this show. Brad Walters with Mountain View Elk Ranch near Riggins, Idaho, is going to talk about the guided spring bear hunting they offer, an opportunity which is coming up real soon. But first, David Sparks has a new edition of Sportsman Spotlight for you, featuring a beautiful 28-gauge shotgun, something you don't see too much in the field anymore. Sportsman Spotlight has a brand new sponsor too, Nate Luther's Guided Fishing. Nate fishes the Snake and Clearwater rivers for steelhead, salmon, sturgeon, and bass. You'll be hearing more about him and his services during our shows in the weeks ahead.
Last week I pointed out that Weatherby Firearms has put out a website called wby-tv.com. This TV website features educational and entertaining videos for all who have a passion for the outdoor hunting and shooting lifestyle. In terms of educational, there's one place where you can go to get what they call Weatherby Tips, which are little videos that are educational regarding hunting. I found one where Weatherby team member Scott Haugen gave the following advice about hunting dogs.
We hooked up with Steve Waller of Tall Timber Poodle Pointers in Oakland, Oregon. I'd hunted behind poodle pointers a lot and had great success with them hunting for shed antlers. But when our son Kasdan hunted with Steve Waller and his dog Lon, our life changed. 3 months later, we had our first dog. Echo is now 10 months old, and she's been on many hunts with us. She's been a great addition to the family and changed our lives. She's also made hunting more enjoyable than I ever imagined. When searching for a dog that's right for you, take your time. Consider the type of hunting you'll be doing. If you want a family dog or one that sleeps outside in the kennel, be realistic and ready to spend time with the pup, helping it develop its hunting skills. Over the past few months, we've enjoyed many hunts with Echo. We look forward to more great hunts over the years with our Weatherbys and our dog. If looking for a hunting dog that's right for you, be patient, do your homework, then get ready to enjoy all our great outdoors has to offer.
Pretty cool, don't you think? Anyway, if you got a few minutes to spare, you will really enjoy visiting wby-tv.com.
This is David Sparks for Sportsman Spotlight.
In the depth of Hell's Canyon, a monster sturgeon swims within the waters of the Snake River. He measures anywhere from 6 to 11 feet long and weighs out not in pounds, but in hundreds of pounds. You can fight him and you can catch him, but you'll need help to do so. That's where Nate Luther comes in. He's been navigating the rapids within Hell's Canyon for years and knows how to catch these sturgeon like no other man on the water. Find out more by going to Nate Luther's Facebook page at Nate Luther's Guide Service or give Nate a call at 208-503-9204. That's 208-503-9204 for Nate Luther's Guide Service.
The Bighorn Outdoor Adventure Show is celebrating 55 years of making life better outside. Life is an adventure, and it's better outdoors. It's fun for the whole family at the Spokane Fair and Expo Center, March 19th through the 22nd. Live reptile shows from the Reptile Man all 4 days. See, touch, and learn all about reptiles. Climb on the WGU Washington's climbing wall. Drop a line in Les Schwab's Fishing World, and so much more. Visit bighornshow.com for more information.
Hi, this is Mark Hemstreet, owner of Shiloh Inns. Many of our Shiloh customers have been visiting our Shiloh locations for years, and here's an example of someone who wouldn't stay anywhere else.
I love their beds, beautiful rooms, really clean. The staff go out of their way to make me feel comfortable. Plus, free breakfast.
We invite all of you to try Shiloh Inns the next time you're traveling for business or pleasure. Call 1-800-222-2244 or visit our website at shilohins.com. Shiloh Inns, affordable excellence. American family-owned and proud of it.
Welcome back to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. We're broadcasting this weekend from the Central Washington Sportsman Show in Yakima. And one of the big stores that is here with some screaming deals on fishing gear is Grumpy's Outdoor Supply. They're a Yakima store. They're a great place to go. And if you want to find out about fishing, you need to look up Reed Mykel. Reed Mykel is the fishing department manager, knows all about the waters around here. Reed, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Reed, let's go ahead and talk about the most famous water in the Yakima Valley, that being the Yakima River. It's a blue ribbon trout stream, the only blue ribbon trout stream in Washington State. And does it fish well during this March-April time frame?
Oh, yeah. Great waterways. As long as the water conditions are perfect, it's a great fishery.
So let's break this down. Most people are fishing flies, but it's selective regulations. You can use spinners here or spoons as long as they have a single barbless hook.
Correct. And a lot of people do that up there, especially the blue foxes. They're very popular in the MEPs.
So for somebody not familiar with the Yakima, where would you send them to go ahead and try to get into some fish?
Anywhere up in the canyon, the Yakima Canyon, just pick out a good pull-off spot. Usually there's a good hole there. People fish regularly in those spots, and that's why there's the pull-off.
So we're basically talking between Ellensburg and Yakima, folks, and it's really pretty country, too. You're probably going to see some wildlife along the way there. So continuing with the Yakima River, you mentioned blue fox spinners. Is there a particular color combination that works well?
I always like the black colors and the browns. They always seem to go good for trout up in the canyon.
And switching to flies, which is the preferred method for most people, is there any particular thing that during the March-April time frame works well? I'm guessing we're not talking dry flies. We're probably talking about nymphs and maybe midges.
Correct, and pretty much whatever the hatch is.
One more thing I've got to ask about the Yakima. How big is the average trout in there?
They can get pretty large. I mean, up to 24, 28 inches I've seen them come out of there.
And I know it's mainly rainbows, and as big as those get, I think you're going to find a lot of 12 to 14 inches is kind of the norm there. But in the upper portions of the Yakima, there's cutthroat too, isn't there?
Yes, there is. There's a wide variety of cutthroat and the brook trout.
Okay, so another river that doesn't get the press that the Yakima does, and the Yakima, folks, is a year-round river, but let's talk about the Natchez. Now, the Natchez, I know, doesn't open till the end of May, but that's a pretty good fishing river, isn't it?
Oh, it's great, and it's nice to get up there, and it's nice scenery. The fishing's great, too, and you just same techniques, spinners and single hook, barbless, of course.
Now, is it all rainbows in the Natchez, or are you getting into cutthroat there, too?
You're getting into cutthroat up there also, and the brookies, too.
And they don't run quite as large on the Natchez as they do on the Yakima, do they?
No, not quite as large, but you can hook into some nice fish up there.
And the other nice thing about the Natchez, folks, it's not nearly as crowded as the Yakima, so that's a huge bonus there. One other thing on the Natchez, a lot of people are using drift boats and rafts to fish the Yakima. Is that viable on the Natchez or not?
I wouldn't recommend it. There's some hairy spots that aren't too safe, and a few guys do it, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Okay, fair enough. Let's go ahead and turn our attention to lakes. And again, folks, you're listening to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. We're talking to Reed Mykel, the fishing department manager at Grumpy's Outdoor Supply in Yakima. lakes. What are some lakes you'd recommend people fish for? And let's start off with a good trout lake.
That'd be Clear Lake. That's the most popular around here. Go up there with just a Mack's lure, wedding ring spinners. I like the greens. They fish great. A couple split shots above it and troll really slow. If you're on the bank, just power bait and a bobber, or on the bottom.
Now, what kind of trout are in this lake, and how big do they get?
They're mostly just planted rainbows. Every now and then you'll hook into a nice one, but a holdover.
Nothing wrong with that. Year-round lake, or is this one that opens at the end of April?
It's year-round up there.
Okay, so we've got Clear Lake. There's some kokanee waters around here too, aren't there?
Yeah, Rife over on the other side is probably the most popular. They do a little bit at Rimrock, but the fish tend to be a lot nicer over at Rife.
And same sort of method? Are you basically trolling a wedding ring type spinner or like a kokanee pro from Mack's?
Yes, that works great. Also, we have a local guy that's here in town, been tying flies and tying lures for years. We have them down at the shop, and they make a great spinner.
Okay, so we got Rife Lake and Rimrock for the kokanee. We got Clear Lake for the trout. Let's talk bass.
Bass, anywhere down in the lower valley. There's a lot of ponds along the freeway and a lot of little ponds hid out in the brush, and they're full of nice fish.
So we're talking largemouth bass here. What about smallmouth bass in the Yakima River? I understand that's a viable fishery when you get downstream.
Yeah, once you get down in the lower part, it's great. You just got to find yourself some structure and put a night crawler or a jig on, and you'll make it happen.
And where does it basically transition from trout waters to smallmouth waters when we're talking about the Yakima?
Definitely down beside Prosser area and Granger.
Okay, and preferred method for fishing, the smallies? Are we basically talking about curly tail jigs and maybe some tube baits?
Yeah, correct. That'll work great. Also, just the night crawler works down there. These fish don't see that much action, so they'll respond pretty good to about anything.
All right, well, there you go, folks. Lots of opportunities to fish in the Yakima Valley and the surrounding area, whether you're after bass, whether you're after trout, or whether you're after kokanee. We better tell people where Grumpy's is located in Yakima, Reed.
It's right behind Prestige Motors, next to McDonald's in Union Gap. If you know where Miners is, you can find us.
There you go. So get a big Miners burger, then stop by Grumpy's Outdoor Supply and get hooked up to go fishing. Reed, thanks for telling us all about it on Northwestern Outdoors.
Thank you.
Again, that's Reed Mykel with Grumpy's and Yakima. Switching from fishing to hunting, we've got more for you from the Central Washington Sportsman Show in Yakima. We just caught up with Brad Walters with Mountain View Elk Ranch. Brad, tell me a little bit about your ranch, where are you located, and what sort of services do you offer?
We have a ranch in Riggins, Idaho, which is west central Idaho on the Salmon River. Family ranch. We've been there for a long time now. And we have a big elk hunting preserve where we hunt trophy bull elk. And just this year we're starting with some other hunts, some free-range elk hunts, mule deer hunts, mountain lion wolf combination hunts, and some spring bear hunts.
Tell me more about these spring bear hunts, because you've got a show special here, $2,500, I understand, for a 5-day hunt. Tell me more.
Yeah, that's correct. And the spring bear hunt is something we're really excited about right now. It's just opening up this year, and it's kind of unique. It's a huge area of private land that's never been commercially hunted for bears. So, we went out last year, just kind of set some baits to do some testing, set a few baits, and had 23 different bears come into 3 baits, and a lot of big, beautiful color-faced bears, and I think it's going to be a really successful hunt for us.
Now, I know there's different rules in different states about what's allowed and not allowed when it comes to hunting, but in Idaho, you can use bait to hunt bears, can't you?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, we can hunt over bait in the state of Idaho, and it's really a successful way of hunting them. We can use hounds as well, but in the spring we're going to do bait-only hunts. It's just a way to see a lot of different bears you can set on that bait and see a lot of different bears, a lot of different colors of bears come into that bait and be able to judge the size really well when you hunt that way.
Go ahead and break down how a hunt happens here. Basically, folks are going to arrive in Riggins, they're going to go out to the ranch, and I'm pretty sure you're going to feed them dinner that first night and give them a nice place to sleep.
That is correct. Yes, we have a beautiful lodge that sets up on top of a mountain, and that's all included in the price of the hunt. Your 5 days includes your meals and lodging. The only extra cost is the non-resident bear tag and out-of-state license. Other than that, yeah, they show up, we take them out, feed them dinner at the lodge. Get to go check the baits. You get to set your baits and check your game cameras and see the pictures of what bears are coming into what baits, and then you're able to sit on those baits the next day and be ready for your bear hunt.
So it sounds like, with all these bears, it might not take you 5 days to get your bear. What do folks do for the last couple of days if they got their bear early?
Well, it's kind of a unique area. We're right on the river there. They can, if they tag out early, we can get them down on the river and get some fishing in, or you have the option of just hanging out at the lodge. It's a beautiful place to sit on top of the mountain, hike around, play around, or just kind of take the tour.
So if people want to find out more, let's go ahead and give them a website and a phone number.
Yeah, our website has a lot of information on it, and it is www.mountainviewelk.com, and that's all one word. And our phone number you can reach us at is 208-628-3803.
Again, that's 208-628-3803, 208-628-3803, or go to mountainviewelk.com. That's Mountain View Elk Ranch at mountainviewelk.com. Spring bear hunts, sounds like a great deal, sounds like a good time. Thanks for telling us all about it on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Good hunters know before you take that shot, you've got to see the whole picture. Now, the best way to do that is with a spotting scope, binoculars, or a rifle scope, but it's got to be from Leupold. Now, Leupold is a Northwest company with a reputation that stretches across the world for making superior optics. The kind of optics that allow you to see what you need before making that stock or pulling that trigger. Look for Leupold Optics at your local Cabela store, Dick's Sporting Goods, or online at leupold.com. Leupold, America's optical authority.
If you've ever been fishing in Mexico, you know how good it can be, and now you can fish there with the real news. Take your choice of a trip to Baja's East Cape for roosterfish, marlin, and dorado. These trips are value priced, so you can stretch your dollars in fun. To find out more about fishing Mexico with the real news, log on to therealnews.com or call 425-334-8966. Again, that's therealnews.com or 425-334-8966. For an incredible adventure.
Pheasants Forever is working hard every day to ensure there's more wildlife habitat for the future. To join us, go to pheasantsforever.org.
We're back with John Cruz on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
It's time for another Max Minute.
Fish on!
Brought to you every week by Mack's Lure Company. With us again is Lance Merz with Max. Lance, spring Chinook fishing is getting ready to take off on the lower Columbia River. Understand a lot of people are going to be trolling herring rigs behind dodgers and flashers, and I understand that you've got one that ought to make a difference out there on the water.
We do, John. And you know, it's a lot different because everybody likes to use the same rig, the same thing all the time, day in and day out. So why not try something different? We've got the Max Lure Double D Dodgers. It's 7.5 inches, 7.6 to be exact. But the cool thing about it is on the back of it, it's got a diagram. So depending upon your rod position that you have in the boat, you attach it to the different 5 pull points, and what it does is it takes it away from the boat and out of the boat path. It is a dodger. It's not a flasher, but it does a dodging action. It works absolutely fantastic.
Well, you're right, and sometimes that something a little bit different is going to make all the difference in terms of whether you get fish in the boat or not. Really popular fishery, especially in places by the Wind River or down at Drano. There's going to be a lot of people down there, and you're right, most of them are using the same thing. Let's talk about something else. Any favorite color patterns that you prefer when it comes to this fishery?
You know, my favorite is just the regular silver Double D Dodger. It comes in 4 different other colors, but silver is my go-to. And then, you know, I'll take a Max Lure herring rig or a prawn rig or something like that, you know, instead of doing a cut plug or, you know, just to try different things. But guess what, John? We're catching fish.
There you go, folks. Time to mix it up, and one way you can do it is with the Max Double D Dodger. You can find out more about this product and more by going to maxlure.com. That's maxlure.com. Lance, thanks as always.
Thanks, John.
The road is calling you to experience one of Oregon's 7 wonders of Wallowas. So grab your camping equipment and fishing gear and head out to Northeast Oregon, where you'll find the views are endless, the air crisp and clean, and the water's cold and clear. Set up camp by the shores of Wallowa Lake or in the heart of the Wallowa-Whitman National Forest. Take your fishing gear and cast your bait into the deep waters of Wallowa Lake, or roll your fly into one of the eddies of the many freestone creeks and rivers teeming with fish. This summer, take the road that leads to wonders. It begins at WallowaCountyChamber.com.
Nate Luther wants to take you fishing for monster sturgeon on the Snake River and Hell's Canyon. If you're looking for a fishing adventure, this one is hard to beat. Find out more by going to Nate's Facebook page at Nate Luther's Guide Service, or give Nate a call at 208-503-9204. That's 208-503-9204 for Nate Luther's Guide Service.
Looking for that extra something that will get more salmon or trout into your boat? Then check out the Double D Dodger from Max Lure. The Double D does double duty and helps you catch more fish. The Double D's flash attracts lunkers, and the Dodger's patented stop-start action works wonders to get those fish biting. The Double D does even more by acting as a side planer to get your bait away from the boat where the fish are more likely to be and more apt to strike. The Double D Dodger. It's the Dodger you've got to have from Max Lure.
Nate Luther wants to take you fishing for monster sturgeon on the Snake River and Hell's Canyon. If you're looking for a fishing adventure, this one is hard to beat. Find out more by going to Nate's Facebook page at Nate Luther's Guide Service or give Nate a call at 208-503-9204. That's 208-503-9204 for Nate Luther's Guide Service.
He said we're right on him. Without missing a beat, you'll drop your line down to 42 feet. If you don't screw up, it won't be long. Someone in this boat's gonna sing Fish On. Fish on, fish on. Do it by the book, don't take too long. Set the hook, reel it in strong. Fish on, fish on.
You're back with Northwestern Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. We're broadcasting from the Central Washington Sportsman Show in Yakima. And I'll tell you what, folks, you probably haven't thought of going up to Canada for a fishing adventure lately, but this is the time to do so. The exchange rate is in your favor if you are a U.S. citizen. As a matter of fact, a $1,900 trip that I'm about to tell you about here is only costing about $1,500. That's right. Basically, the exchange rate is down to about 75 cents, and that is a good deal if you are a U.S. citizen. So, with us here to tell us about a great adventure at the north end of Vancouver Island at Port Hardy is Chad Calder. He is the owner of Chad's Coastwide Sports Fishing. Welcome to the show.
Hi, how you doing?
Let's go ahead and break down a little bit about your operation. You know, you're located at the north end of Vancouver Island. People are going to come up there between June and September, and what's going to happen?
Well, basically, we're from Yakima. We're about a 12-hour door-to-door drive, and we offer 3- and 4-day all-inclusive packages. Now, that includes all your lodging once you arrive in Port Hardy. It includes all your meals when you arrive in Port Hardy, and it includes all the custom processing and packaging of all your fish.
So let's go ahead and talk about the fishing, because you've got several different species that you're targeting up there, and I guess we'll start off with the bottomfish.
Yeah, our season opens June 8th and goes right to the end of August, and we target every species of bottomfish that we possibly can every single day. Now that's red snapper, yellow eye rockfish, black bass, a variety of other rockfish, plus all your lingcod and your halibut. So there's a lot of bottomfish you can attain in one day.
Now, halibut, I think, is just about everybody's favorite. They're just so darn tasty. What's the average size of the halibut you're catching up there at the Inland Passage?
Well, we catch halibut well over 200 to 250 pounds, but all throughout Canada there is a slot limit. The maximum size halibut that you can keep with us is roughly around 70 pounds, and then you can keep another halibut that's up to about 20 pounds. So that's about 90 pounds of halibut per person for the duration of your trip.
Well, that sounds awfully nice. And let's talk about limits for the rockfish and lingcod, too.
Yeah, so the rockfish limit, you're allowed to take 5 rockfish a day in some of the areas that my companies fish. So, and that possession limit means you can take home 10 rockfish. Now, out of that 10 rockfish, 6 of them must be or can be yellow eye, and then additional 4 rockfish to get you to 10. So there's a limit of 6 yellow eye you can bring home with our company.
And the lingcod?
The lingcod, once again, you can bring home 6, 3 lingcod a day, and most of the areas we fish, there is no size limit.
Well, folks, as you're well aware, if you're an angler, particularly in Puget Sound, these are very liberal limits compared to what you're finding down south of the border, so to speak. So let's focus on the salmon now. You've got the kings, you've got the silvers. The kings are there first. Why don't you run us through best times to fish for the kings, best times to fish for the silvers, and when to go for the big fish?
Okay, that's a great question. Now, our season opens June 8th. The only major difference between a fishery in June 8th and a fishery in, say, mid-August or end of August with us is the king and the silver fishery. The bottom fishery is very dynamic and it's very steady, and it's pretty much the same throughout the whole season. Now, the big difference is the kings. The kings early on in the season are smaller. They're going to be in an 18 to 22, maybe even to a 23, 24 pound range, and there's not a ton of silvers around yet. But as we progress into July, you'll see a lot more of the silvers arrive, and the kings will start to get bigger, and then we start hunting our giant fish sort of around the end of July, the first 2 weeks into the third week of August. We'll see kings in the 30, 40, and 50, even 60-pound range.
You're listening to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. We're talking to Chad Calder. He is the owner of Chad's Coastwide Sports Fishing. He's going to take you fishing for a really good price up off of Vancouver Island. Let's talk about which side of the island we're fishing, because I know on the west side of the island, we are talking about fishing in the Pacific Ocean, and those swells can get really rough. You're basically on the very north end. You're fishing the inside passage, the Queen Charlotte Strait. What's the water like there?
Well, that's one of the beauties about Port Hardy is it's on the northern tip of Vancouver Island, but it's on the inside, so we don't get that big northwest swell typically that you'd see anywhere on the west side of the island. So in June, we do get weather patterns, but they're mostly just wind and rain, not a lot of swell. And then as we move into July and August, the water gets flatter and flatter, with August being a month of just fog in the mornings and flat water in the afternoon.
Sounds fantastic. Now let's talk about the boats that you're using.
So all of our boats are 25 and 26 foot Grady Whites. They're fully guided, and they all have twin 200 four-stroke power on them.
Now, I know some people are going to ask, is they're going to be out on the water most of the day, is there a head on board or not?
All of our boats have private onboard washrooms with full flush toilets, yes.
I think that's important for some of the folks out there. So one thing I like about your operation is basically it's very cost-effective, folks. I'm going to give you some rates right here. You can have a 3-day, 3-night, all-inclusive. If you're fishing 2 persons for the boat, it's $2,600 Canadian. 3 persons in a boat, $1,900 Canadian. That equates to just over $1,500 U.S. for 3 days and 3 nights. And we're talking 3 full days of fishing, folks. If you want to go 4 days, 4 nights, it's $3,500 Canadian for 2 persons to a boat. And for 3 persons to a boat, it's about $2,500. That's going to equate to, I think, just under $2,000 U.S. That's an incredible bargain, and especially because you go ahead and package and process the fish too, don't you?
Yeah, at the end of the day, we actually don't clean any fish at our facility. There's just usually far too much with all our boats, and we have, we're so lucky, we have a custom certified processor that takes our fish. They process that fish down to 1.5 pound meal-sized portions for everybody, or steaks, or full fillets, whatever you choose. And then we actually vacuum pack it. They flash freeze it, and then it's labeled and boxed, ready for your travels home at the end of your package, along with the proper documentation and paperwork for you to travel with your fish.
And this is all part of the price that you pay?
It is, all included. The only additional cost to you when you arrive in Port Hardy is your fishing license. And for a 3-day package, that's roughly $25 per person Canadian.
That's dirt cheap, folks. Let's go ahead and talk about something else. I like the fact that, you're not a lodge, because I think with lodges you automatically get a lot more overhead and you have to charge more prices. You offer good lodging, you offer good meals, but you do it in a very unique way. Tell our listeners about that.
Yeah, what we do for our accommodations, as you drive into Port Hardy, on the right side of the marina is the Glen Line Inn. We blocked off a whole level of rooms there, and all the rooms are beautiful, and all the rooms have decks right on the water. And what we do, which is very unique to any other company, is for your meals inside that marina and in the town are some really nice restaurants and pubs. There's a multitude of them, and we give you a diner's card. You simply go to any one of those places to eat, you order anything you want off of any of those menus, and it gets billed to us. You just take your diner's card with you. The only thing we don't include is alcohol.
I love that. And so let me get this straight. I could literally walk to one of these restaurants. I could order like a surf and turf meal of steak and whatever seafood I want. Doesn't matter what the price is. It's still included in the price of the package.
Absolutely. And the one thing that we love about this, and after years and years of working in lodges when I was younger, is there's no dinner bell. There's no time frame when you can eat. You can all eat together. You can eat individually. You can go to different places. You can all eat at different times. It's a really great idea, and it works well for our company.
I love the idea. I honestly really like this a lot. Again, this is Chad's Coastwide Sports Fishing. They're located at Port Hardy at the north end of Vancouver Island. Let's go ahead and give folks a website and a phone number so they can find out more about booking one of these very affordable and very unique trips.
Yeah, so our office number is 1-877-779-9094, and our company website is coastwidesportsfishing.com.
I'm going to repeat that website again, folks, and you're going to find the phone number there, too. It's coastwidesportsfishing.com. That's coastwidesportsfishing.com. Fishing in the Inside Passage on the north end of Vancouver Island for bottomfish, for halibut, for silvers, and for kings, and doing so at a price that we haven't seen in a long time. Again, that's coastwidesportfishing.com for Chad's Coastwide Sports Fishing. Chad, thanks for telling us all about this adventure on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Oh, I appreciate it. It's been great chatting with you. And once again, if anybody has any questions, they can always call us at our office number and the website that we've just talked about.
There you go, folks. Go fishing up in Canada. This is the year to do it.
Want to thank my mom and thank my crew. Especially want to thank all the little people too. Say fish on, fish on. Oh, hit him again. He's still kind of squirmy.
Welcome back to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. It's time again for news and reports from the field, brought to you every week by Mardon Resort at Eastern Washington's Potholes Reservoir. The Othello Sandhill Crane Festival is coming up next weekend around Othello and at the Columbia National Wildlife Refuge. If you're looking for a great place to stay while you're attending this annual event that celebrates the return of these big, beautiful birds, well, Mardon Resort is the place for you. You'll find everything from RV sites to park cottages to camp cabins, motel rooms, and even a place to pitch a tent. With a restaurant, lounge, and a well-stocked store, you'll have everything you need, and it's all on the shores of Eastern Washington's Potholes Reservoir. Find out more about booking a stay during the Sandhill Crane Festival or any other time of year by going to mardonresort.com. That's mardonresort.com, where the fish bite, but we don't. In outdoors and firearms-related news, there was a run on 5.56 millimeter ball ammo last month after the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms said they were going to ban this popular ammunition used by thousands of firearms owners in AR-15 style rifles. The official reason? The ATF said that body armor-piercing bullets posed a threat to law enforcement, especially when used in pistols now being made to shoot this caliber bullet. However, when asked, the ATF was unable to produce a single example of any law enforcement officer having been shot by a 5.56 millimeter pistol. In fact, most firearm owners and those in the industry called this for what it was, a gun control end run by the Obama administration, which couldn't ban AR-15 rifles, so instead tried to ban the ammunition used in them. Under heavy pressure from citizens and groups like the National Shooting Sports Foundation and National Rifle Association, the ATF did an about-face on the issue and said they would drop their plans to institute this ban. Whew! The fight over the Second Amendment never, ever seems to end, does it? Last week, we gave you information about wolves in Montana and Washington. This week, we've got some numbers out of Oregon, where Russ Morgan, the state wolf coordinator with the Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife, briefed commissioners this month. According to Morgan, 77 known wolves were documented in the Beaver State last year, including 26 pups that survived through the end of the year. 8 of Oregon's 9 known wolf packs were breeding pairs, meaning they had at least 2 pups born in spring that survived through the end of the year. 6 new pairs of wolves were also documented in Oregon last year. When it comes to depredation, Morgan said fewer cattle were killed in 2014 by wolves, but there was an increase in the number of sheep killed. Most of the wolves in Oregon continue to be found in the northeastern part of the state, but wolves have also made their way into the southern portion of the state, where up to 7 wolves are now prowling the Cascade Mountains, not far from Medford and Grants Pass. And if you know any college kids looking at a career in the outdoors, you might want to steer them towards an internship with Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks. There are a number of opportunities available this spring and summer for students currently enrolled in college who have a valid driver's license. Just have that kid contact his career placement office at the University of Montana, Montana State University, and other 2- and 4-year colleges in Montana to find out more. Turning to field reports, if you're wondering how the salmon fishing is going in northern Puget Sound, the results from the 29th annual Bill Hayes Blackmouth Derby that took place may provide a clue. Ed Keller, an organizer of the event, says 94 folks entered and 13 fish were weighed in at this event that just happened up in the North Sound. The weather was great, and Ed's boat caught 2 fish, though they were not big enough to get into the top 3. Those honors belong to Terry Pitt of Cedar Woolley. He got first place fishing a spoon, caught a 15-pound salmon at the north end of Camino Island, and brought home a purse of $2,350. Nice job, Terry. Ron Lampers of Whidbey Island got second place with a 12-pound blackmouth. He was fishing near Whidbey Island, and Glenn Helton of Cedar Woolley caught a 10-pound fish, got him $705 paycheck. He was fishing off Greenbanks on a squid. In Idaho, the hot spots for steelhead fishing during the month of March 2nd through the 8th were the South Fork of the Clearwater, where Idaho Fish and Game checked 153 anglers who caught a total of 101 fish. The Salmon River has been fishing well, too, on almost its entire length, though the most crowded stretch was between the Middle Fork to the North Fork, where 320 anglers were checked with 104 fish. If you want to see fewer anglers and increase your odds, consider fishing the salmon from the South Fork to the Middle Fork, where 41 anglers caught 54 fish, or upstream from the East Fork of the Salmon, where 189 anglers reeled in 78 steelhead. Next, we are heading back to the Central Washington Sportsman Show in Yakima to talk to one of my favorite outdoor chefs, who just happens to be a pro staffer for Camp Chef and Cabela's. Next up on Northwestern Outdoors Radio, we're catching up with Tiffany Haugen. That's right, she's that wonderful outdoors cook. We're catching up with her at the Central Washington Sportsman Show in Yakima. She's here with Cook with Cabela's. She's putting on seminars, and one of the seminars has to do with making something that looks incredibly tasty, venison fajitas. Tell me more.
Awesome. Yes, these venison fajitas, they can actually be used with venison, duck, goose will be great in these, but really easy. You can make your own rub up if you want to, your own fajita rub, or you can buy a packaged fajita rub. And basically, I'm just going to take the venison, slice it really thinly, and that way you'll be able to absorb all those great spices. If you've got a piece of meat that's a little bit tough or gamey, you can actually let it sit in the rub overnight, or you can just put the rub on and be ready to cook. And of course, you want to slice up your onions, slice up some bell peppers, make it really colorful. Those are the makings of some good fajitas. The spice rub has quite a few ingredients in it, but all these flavors really layer in there and make for a great dish. You can prepare it ahead of time. A lot of time I'll make this in big batches, so it'll be ready anytime. I could take it camping, just keep it in the cupboard. But that has chili powder, cumin, salt, black pepper, oregano, paprika, granulated garlic, and if you want to make it hot, put some cayenne pepper in there.
Oh, this sounds fantastic. So that's a lot of ingredients. If people didn't catch that, is there a website they can go to find out more?
Of course, just my name, TiffanyHaugen.com, and you can find that under Fajita Spice Rub.
That sounds very easy. Now, let's talk about actually cooking this, especially in the field. How do you go about it? And particularly important, how long do you cook this?
All right, this is going to be one of those hot and fast recipes. So you're going to have dinner ready in 10 minutes. So you can use several different things. I use a Camp Chef propane stove, and then they have a griddle attachment that goes right on that. So you can prepare those on a cast iron griddle. You can use those on your own griddle. These can also be prepared in a Dutch oven over coals. So as long as you have some nice hot heat and a good cast iron or a nice big fry pan, you can cook these a variety of ways.
And how do you know when it's done? I mean, we're talking hot and fast. Maybe we're talking 2 minutes, 3 minutes?
Well, it kind of depends on how you like your vegetables. If you like them a little crunchy, you're just going to go a couple minutes with those vegetables. If you've got people that don't think they like onions very well, caramelize those onions, cook those 5 to 7 minutes and get them nice and soft, and you may find you have some onion lovers on your hands. The meat, you're going to be slicing this thinly, and remember, if you're working with venison or waterfowl, you do not want to overcook that. So you almost want to serve that a rare to medium rare.
There you go, folks. That's Tiffany Haugen. She's a pro staffer with Camp Chef. She's also with Cook with Cabela's. You can find out more about her at her website, TiffanyHaugen.com. And you've got some great books that cover this sort of thing too, don't you?
Yes, this very recipe is in my Cooking Big Game. So if you're looking for ways to cook venison, wild boar, or bear, that book is for you.
There you go, folks. That's Tiffany Haugen. Thanks so much, Tiffany. We always love having you on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Oh, thank you too.
Looking for the ultimate cooking machine for your backyard or patio? Look no further than Camp Chef's new pellet grill and smoker. With user-friendly features like an auto ignition, digital readouts, and internal meat temperature sensors, it's easy to smoke the tastiest salmon, ribs, brisket, and turkey you'll ever eat. And an innovative system makes cleanup a snap. Everyone will want the food you're cooking on your Camp Chef pellet grill and smoker. The quality smoker that's second to none. Find out more at campchef.com. Camp Chef, the way to cook outdoors.
Shiloh Inn's affordable excellence. The more you stay, the more you save. Hello, I'm Mark Hemstreet, owner of Shiloh Inns. As a Shiloh Inn Star Rewards member, you get free room upgrades, a personal agent to help book your stay, points that can be used for free nights at any one of our beautiful hotels or for free airline tickets and much more. And there are no blackout dates for any reward stay. Make 4-star accommodations at 2-star prices even better with deluxe smoke-free suites, spacious pools and spas, and fully equipped fitness centers. There's free high-speed internet and a free continental breakfast or delicious full hot breakfast at most Shiloh Inns. Even the kids stay free. And smoke-free Shiloh Inns are all dog-friendly. For reservations, call 1-800-222-2244 or visit our website at shilohinns.com. Shiloh Inns, affordable excellence. American family-owned and proud of it.
Oh, honey, it sure is a beautiful day to be out on the water.
It sure is. And you know what? I've got something special for you today.
You do?
Yep. It's a wedding ring. It's gold, it's pretty, and it hangs on and won't let go.
Oh my gosh, honey, I love you.
I love you too, babe. Here you go.
But that's a fishing lure.
Well, of course it is. It's a Mack's wedding ring spinner. It's been catching trout, kokanee, walleye, and panfish since 1969. What did you think it was?
I thought it was a wedding ring.
Oh.
Mack's wedding ring spinner. It's a great lure, but maybe they should have named it something else. Look for it wherever you buy sporting goods.
You jerk!
You demand quality performance from your binoculars, whether you use them in the field, on the water, or at a stadium. But you don't want to spend a fortune. That's where the BX Mackenzie binoculars from Leupold come in. These armored, waterproof binoculars are both comfortable and dependable. Look for your Mackenzie binoculars at quality sporting goods retailers near you, to include your Cabela's, Sportsman's Warehouse, or Northwest Bymart stores. BX Mackenzie, bringing your world into sharper focus, only from Leupold.
We're back with one last cast from John Cruz on Northwestern Outdoors Radio.
Let's run through some upcoming events before we go. Sportsman Show season is winding down for 2015. As we mentioned earlier, we are exhibiting at the Bighorn Outdoor Adventure Show, being held at the Spokane Interstate Fairgrounds through Sunday. If you're in Montana, the Great Rocky Sports Show is also going on this weekend at the Adams Center in Missoula, and next Saturday and Sunday at the Field House at the MSU campus in Bozeman. Both shows will feature the Great Cats of the World attraction, which looks really interesting. That will pretty much wrap up things here in the Northwest for Sportsman Show, but where that season ends, banquet seasons for conservation organizations and groups begins. We've got a couple of banquets coming up in eastern Idaho, to include the Pheasants Forever banquet at the Shoshone-Bannock Hotel in Fort Hall on April 4th. Doors open at 5:30 p.m. You can find out more about that one at pheasantsforever.org. And the Pocatello Field Archers had their annual banquet at their clubhouse on April 11th. This dinner only costs $10, and you'll have a chance to win a bow or two if you attend. Find out more about this one at pocatellofieldarchers.com. Fishing derbies are going on too, and there's a couple to tell you about this week. The first one is one we've mentioned before on the show, the first annual Fishing for a Cure Derby, taking place April 25th on the Clackamas River in Northwest Oregon. For $200, you'll get to fish with a guide, and if you catch the biggest salmon of the day, you'll win a 30-pound spring Chinook mount crafted by well-known taxidermist and event organizer Rick Leach. Proceeds from this event go to finding a cure for Parkinson's disease. Find out more by emailing Rick at trophymounter@aol.com. That's Rick Leach at trophymounter@aol.com. In Western Washington, the Stanwood Eagles Derby will take place April 18th and 19th, and blackmouth fishing looks to be good for this event. Look for tickets to this derby at the Stanwood Eagles and at area sporting goods stores like Holiday Sports in Burlington. And in Eastern Washington, the Something Catchy Kokanee Derby will take place at Lake Chelan that same weekend of the 18th and 19th. The biggest kokanee caught will win you $750, and there's lots of other prizes too. You can pick up your tickets for this derby at Hooked on Toys in Wenatchee or Sportsman's Warehouse in East Wenatchee. That's all for this week. If you get a chance, go to our website, northwesternoutdoors.com. You'll find links to find out more about our guests, and you can catch last week's show there just in case you missed it. Another place to catch our show on the internet is RenoViolaOutdoors.com. It's the home of WRVO Radio, an internet station dedicated to outdoors programming. We're part of it. We're happy to be there. The website again, RenoViolaOutdoors.com. And don't forget our Facebook page. Like us, follow us at Northwestern Outdoors Radio. We're always posting information there, a lot of it that doesn't make it on the show. Spring officially starts this weekend, though in some parts of the Northwest, feels like it's been here for quite a while. So until next time, take care, God bless, and make it a point to spend some time outdoors.
Pheasants Forever is working hard every day to ensure there's more wildlife habitat for the future. Join the habitat leader and help create wildlife habitat in your community. Go to pheasantsforever.org.